going to really help you elevate your food identity because it introduces you to concepts that you might not necessarily be familiar with. Welcome back to my series on how to become a food content creator in 2025. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to build your confidence enough to be in front of the camera. And I'm going to give you 5 tips that you can work on every single day that are going to help you feel more confident and more capable once you turn the camera on to create your food content. And make sure you guys stay to the end because I don't really feel like I ever hear people talk about this 5th tip, and I think it's kind of important. The first thing I'm going to say that is going to help you build your confidence tremendously is to be able to speak food language. So one of the things that I think really hinders people from wanting to create food content is they create their content, they get ready to talk about what they're eating, and the only words they can think of to describe what they're eating is it's yummy, tastes really good, it's bomb. And the thing is, those words are fine, but if you really want to engage your audience, it's a good practice to make sure that you are fluent in food language. And a great way to be fluent in food language is to read food books. Read your cookbooks. I actually have this book, Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat, which is a great book for food vocabulary. And it's one of those things where you read it and it just kind of soaks into your brain. So that's tip number 1. The second tip is if you are someone who does not like the way that you look on camera. We talked about this in the tips for shooting your content video about how you needed to keep your confidence builder close. I'm going to take it a step further and say you need to stand in the mirror. Pick out 3 things that you like about yourself, say why you like them, and then robotically affirm that you like those things about yourself and why you like them about yourself until that is cemented in your mind. Until every single time you look in the mirror, those are the only things you see. Because what will end up happening is once you start to love those parts of yourself, you'll notice that you'll find other things about yourself to love. But if you can't look into the camera and love what you see, it's going to be really hard for you to feel confident on camera. So once you get done with this video today, I want you to go stand in the mirror, pick out 3 things that you love, and robotically affirm how much you love them and why you love them. And I want you to do it for so long that the next time that you walk past the mirror, your eye goes to that immediately, and you just say, wow, that's so beautiful. I love this about me. I'm so obsessed with this about me. It's okay to be obsessed with yourself about something. It's okay. You need to love the way you look on camera, and you need to love the way you look in the mirror so that your full personality can show up when you turn the camera on. The third thing that I'm going to say, study other food creators. So we don't feel confident a lot of the time when we make content or when we do anything because we don't know what we're doing. So if I'm picking up my camera for the first time to make food content and I haven't really looked at other food creators, and I don't mean like look at their videos, I mean look at what they're doing. What is the angle of their camera? How are they panning over their food? How do they talk about what they ate? How did they engage their audience? How did they engage you? Study other creators and figure out what you like about them and what draws you in, and see how you can incorporate some of what they're doing but also mix it up and give it your own style. Because if you pick up your camera to shoot content and you don't know what you're doing, that's going to be a confidence killer. But if you've kind of studied who you feel like are the greats, it's the same thing that actors do. Actors spend hours, days, weeks, years studying what other actors do. They study the greats because they want to be able to not necessarily emulate them, but they want to be able to take the things that those people do really well and incorporate it into their own style of acting. You do the same thing with food content creation. So the people that you really look up to who are creating the most amazing food content, those are the people whose content you need to be studying because they're going to give you the tools to create better content for yourself. Look at the types of recipes that they're cooking. What kind of colors are they using? When they plate their food, are there different kinds of things on the plate that draw your eye? Look at the background. What is in the shot? Are there dish rags in the shot and serving spoons to add depth to the shot? These are all things to take into consideration when you're shooting content, but it's also something that if you don't know, when you get ready to shoot your own food and it's just a plate with a couple of brown pieces of food on it, well, you're not going to be super excited to post that because it just doesn't feel like it stands up to what you've seen other creators do. But if you're mindful when you're watching, you will feel better creating your own content because instead of having a plate of brown steak and white rice, You're gonna do the brown steak and the white rice. You're gonna pop a yellow piece of butter on top and then sprinkle it with some parsley or some green onions. And you might put a little bit of like red pepper flakes to give it a little bit more dimension. And you might throw a serving spoon on the side with a little drip on the table so that people know that you've cooked here. But if you're not cognizant of that, when you're doing your own content creation, it's really hard to feel confident because everything feels flat. So pay attention to what other creators are doing. The fourth thing I'm gonna say is watch cooking shows. I cannot stress enough how important it is for you to watch cooking shows. The number of people on social media who I see asking, when are we going to get real cooking shows again? They don't want to see the same 30-second boop, 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 boop. Throw it in the pan, chop it in 5 seconds, throw it up in a circle and it fall onto the plate. That's cool, yeah. But people actually want to see what the process is like. They want to see you talk about the food. They want to hear you use, again, to the top of the list, to number one, they want to hear you use food language. Because the way that watching content creators create food is going to inspire you to be, you know, more mindful of how you're presenting it, and it's gonna inspire you to kind of incorporate different things into your presentation so that it's more dynamic and it has more depth. Cooking shows are going to inspire you to cook. You watch Top Chef, you watch Beat Bobby Flay, you watch Chopped, you're gonna see these chefs, the greatest chefs in the world, using ingredients sometimes that you've never even heard of, but they're gonna be using them in very unconventional ways. And what that does is stimulates a new pathway in your brain. It's like, oh, I never thought of using it like that. And you get that sometimes from social media, but the difference between seeing it on social media and seeing it on a cooking show is the cooking show is actually going to parse out for you exactly what they're doing, why they're doing it. They're gonna give you some background. They're gonna talk to you about nostalgia. They're gonna talk to you about why they're doing what they're doing. They're gonna say, I'm adding this vinegar because it's too sweet. They're gonna say, I'm adding maltodextrin, or I'm adding cornstarch to thicken it up. Or I'm gonna put these steaks in a vacuum seal so that I can really impart a lot of flavor in a short amount of time. This is going to really help you elevate your food identity because it introduces you to concepts that you might not necessarily be familiar with. But also, when they introduce you to these concepts, they're gonna tell you exactly what you're supposed to be doing with them. And so what ends up happening is you'll go in the kitchen, and whereas you might have used your eggs and sugar to make a cake, you're like, maybe I could try a creme brulee. Cause, you know, I just saw them do it on Top Chef and it didn't really seem like it's that hard, and I just looked up this recipe and it kind of seems like it might be kind of easy. Watch cooking shows. It's a different thing than watching food content creators. So if you want to build your food confidence, you're going to also watch cooking shows. And the last thing I'm going to say, and this is maybe not necessarily as obvious, but if you want to build your cooking confidence, this is a two-part thing. All of your cooking cannot be content. There comes a time, I think, in every content creator's life where they kind of burn out because they get to the point where they're churning out so much stuff and they feel like they just need to produce. And so everything becomes content. But you cook because you enjoy cooking. If everything becomes content, you will stop enjoying cooking. So if you want to build your confidence in the kitchen, keep some of it for yourself. Savor some of it for yourself. Have moments where you're just like, oh man, that was so good. And the camera not on. It's just you and me. And when I say just you and me, it's just you. Like, it doesn't need to be for the audience every single time. And those times when you cook something that's amazing and you don't record it, you could put that in the bank to add to your list of things to record the next time if it was amazing. But keeping it for yourself, it alleviates the pressure of trying to create something amazing for the camera and allows you to just kind of do your own thing and see where it goes. And at some point, you'll be to the point in your content creation journey where you do whatever you want and see where it goes on camera. And if it doesn't go well, you'll post it because you won't care. But if you're kind of stuck in that phase where you're battling imposter syndrome and you don't have the confidence and you're not sure exactly what you're doing, make sure you're keeping some of it for yourself, so that you can get more comfortable producing. And then once you get down the line, you can kind of go ham and post everything. I still think you should keep things for yourself even when you're going ham. So yeah, that's my list of things that I think are going to really help you build your confidence. If this was helpful to you, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, because we're gonna do this for 30 days and I have so many more things that I want to share with you all. Tomorrow we're gonna do a crash course on repurposing content. That is the show for today. Again, please like and subscribe. Comment below. That's my dog snoring. That's a confirmation snore that you need to comment below and subscribe. I will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching.